Today we are going to discuss about the automation of documentation that is currently present in the Palisadoes Foundation. In the past few days, we were seeing that a lot of students were facing issues regarding the like how exactly things are working out in the documentation area. Eva, do you want to ask some questions, or I should first explain the basics?
Right. Hi, Anwer. So I'll say you should first go with the basics and then I'll ask my doubts.
All right. So currently what we have is this repository, that is Talawa docs repository. So this is a DocuService based repository, and we have hosted it on this domain docs.talawa.io. And okay, so as you can see, these pages are here. So these are markdown pages. So markdown pages are markdown pages are rendered by DocuService. Like it's very simple. When you will read about DocuService, you will get to find out like how exactly these are being rendered, how markdowns are being converted into HTML by DocuService. The design, the theme, everything works very fine with DocuService. Okay, so this is our DocuService repository. Now uh, these markdowns are manually written. So if we have to change or update anything here, so you need to manually edit it in this repository. Okay, so now we have two other documentation. Okay, let me show you. If we click on here for the Talawa, you can see these pages as these are like web pages of the same website, but the theme looks a little different from what is offered by DocuService. So this one is for the Talawa repository. Okay, so these documentations come from this repository, Talawa repository. It's a Flutter Dart repository. Okay, so what exactly is happening here is that using Flutter provides us with a command dart dart doc. So when we run this command into our this repository, so a set of HTML pages generates, and we have set up a GitHub action, a workflow here in the push file. First, what happens is that in this workflow, those HTML files are generated. As you can see, output docs/talawa. So in this folder, those HTML files are generated, and then we are trying to move those HTML pages into our Talawa docs repository. So for Talawa repository, things are working like this. We have another set of pages for Talawa API documentation. Okay, so these pages I have manually generated the GraphQL documentation for this repository, Talawa API, using a GraphDoc library. I was thinking to first use, and I still want to use, a SpectaQL, but I generated those HTML pages using this library. And what you are seeing here, this is not automatically being updated. This Talawa repository, this is automatically being updated with every pull request into the Talawa repository. Once a pull request, once a PR gets merged, documentation, if there is some new documentation with that pull request, the repository and those pages, those HTML pages gets updated and then is copied to Talawa docs repository. So this documentation for Talawa currently gets automatically updated. But for Talawa API, this is not getting updated because I had manually put those HTML pages in. One thing that comes to notice that the style for these markdowns and for these Talawa API and Talawa are different. So we are right now we are working over that. As you can see, there are some issues that students were not understanding. Okay, so there are two issues: 199 and 200. In 199, uh, this issue was created by Dominic. So generate static HTML files with the same look as the Talava documentation website. Okay, so the theme for this website, okay, and the theme for the pages in the Talava and Talava API are different. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to create an HTML template so that we can use that template to put the documentation that is present in these HTML pages into that HTML template. And we will be able to, we are thinking that we will be able to make the look for all the documentation pages for all the repositories to look same. So for that issue, there are for that thing there are currently two issues, and for the 200 that is dependent on 199. If that gets completed, then this issue will come into highlight. Another thing, for Talawa API, as I told you, like the documentation pages for Talawa API, I had manually put it the GraphQL documentation that I generated using GraphDoc. Okay, but what we want is the document, not just documentation, not just for the GraphQL section. We want for the full website. So Talawa API is a TypeScript-based repository, so we have thought of, like, we will be using tsdoc inline comments, and whenever somebody is making a new pull request or wants some code to get merged into our repository, so we are currently working on it, but we have added a tsdoc check using ESLint, and that will check if the new pull request is coming and the comments, the tsdoc comments that is present in those pull requests are according to the norms or not. So when a so as the Lava API is a TypeScript based repository, so when a pull request will get merged, having those inline TS documents. So I'm thinking if somebody has another idea, they can propose it. But I was thinking to use API extractor and API documenter. So these what these libraries do, they can generate markdown pages from those TS doc comments, and we can then serve those markdown pages into our documentation website. And for the another repository that we have, the Talawa admin, as it is also a TypeScript based repository, so we have the same idea for this repository as okay. So these were the basics that we are currently working to make the automation, like the automatic update of the documentation when a new pull request will get merged. So Eva, if you have any queries, you can ask. Eva, are
Yes.
you there? Hmm,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Thank you for the basics, first of all. Now, as you showed the code which converts the our comments to the markdown files and then it gets rendered to the website. So, can you please show that for Talava API? And I would like you to explain it a bit deeply because I have a few follow-ups after that. So, like, can you go to Talava API and show me how the comments are converted into markdowns and then the website?
Okay.
And yeah,
So,
like explain it a bit deeply.
all right. So for the Lava API, it is still in progress. As you can see, uh, in the past little season of docs, we were trying to add TS doc comments. So they have a certain format, like before every code, there is there is inline comments like these, where we try to explain what the further code is trying to do. So the basic thing is that once you have added these comments, you need to just use this library API extractor. Currently, I don't have the setup ready, but I remember in the Google season of docs, I had shown you Eva, like those markdowns were being generated. and we can then just copy those markdowns from one repository to another repository. That is currently being done for Talawa. I don't have the setup ready, but if you have queries, you can ask. Like things work, yeah, but there are still some bugs or sometimes things don't work, but those can be solved.
Like, isn't the code available on the repository, all the setup you need, or did you just do it on your PC?
Actually, we were trying to do it first for as the main repository is the Talawa repository, the mobile application. So
Right.
I had the setup ready in my local PC. I did not push it to official repositories, but for Talawa it is there. Even for Talawa, when you will go and open the push workflow, you will be able to see uh, how things are working for. So we are trying to just uh, copy the mechanism from this repository to other repository, as the Dart doc had already an inbuilt command to generate HTML files. For other repositories, we are trying to manually set up using tsdoc and API extractor, that kind of thing. So
Okay, so the main
hmm.
work is of this workflow only, right?
Yes, once inline comments are added, we just need to add some workflows, and they will be able to manage everything. They will be able to move files, copy files from once markdowns are generated in one repository, we will be able to copy it to another repository.
Okay, and supposedly if I want to set up it in my PC using like the Talawa API, so I'll have to set up that API extractor only, right? No other
Exactly,
things.
API extractor.
Okay,
The,
great.
it is dependent on some other, like when okay, when you will read its documentation, like it will like properly explain what is an API report, how the rollup is being created, how to invoke it, how the instructions are given very like
Okay.
properly in a way. So yeah.
And I assume that since it is not being updated, so the work till we did till the completion of GSOD 2022,
Mhm.
all those documentations are on the website right now, right?
Yeah, the inline comments are there, but one thing that we missed in the previous program was to add a check
Right.
that is still in progress. Like whenever a new pull request is coming with those comments,
Mm-hmm.
then there needs to be a check, because there needs to be some norms, right? Like a TS doc comment is coming, is it following the guidelines or not?
Yeah.
So right now, as you can see, this pull request, so Tasneem was working on, and today only she had given some updates, like how she wants to proceed with the checks. So once it gets approved, things will move forward.
Actually, I'm afraid that the comments are also not on the website. I'll just show you. Go on the website, the Talawa API documentation on the
This
website.
one.
Right, right. Talawa API.
Okay. No, no, I told you now. These documentation is just, and this is not the latest one. I had uh,
No,
manually
no.
generated this documentation few months ago, and
Yeah, the
this
things
is
which
not
we did
updated.
in which me and Vedant, the documentations we did in
Hmm.
GSOD last
Hmm.
year, those
Hmm.
things are also not here.
Yeah,
Like,
that is I'm trying to tell you. Only the GraphQL schema is here. Whatever you guys did, we
hmm,
need to first check it if it is in proper, if it is following proper guidelines or not. Once
okay,
once we get to know, as you can remember, at that time there was a shift going on, like right from
yeah,
JS doc to TS doc. That's why a delay was there. So once this check gets approved, this checks get set, we will be then fixing or try to add API extractor. Or if anybody has another idea, then they can just suggest us. Then we will be following that. As you can see, we have uh, a nice theme, but the styling differs for Talawa. It differs for Talawa API. So this is an issue as well. This is also in progress, as you can see.
Right, right.
Yeah, I just showed you. I don't know where just it go, but things are going on. So once things are getting approved, it will just happen. Once things are getting approved, it will take a few days to set up everything.
Okay, so I actually wanted to confirm the thing, like we are on the same track right now. Can you just open
Exactly.
Talawa API once?
Talawa API.
Like, are we
Okay.
talking about the same thing? Like, go to file. Like, we'll have to search a file on the
Okay.
right side,
Go to file. Okay.
right, and type direct chat message. Right, open this one.
This one, first one.
Yeah, I believe this one.
Hmm.
No, 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 not this one. First of all, go to the website, then you'll get the idea.
Like
Website,
the
website,
repository. Okay.
the documentation,
Website. Okay.
Talawa API,
Mm-hmm.
and then there are objects. Scroll downwards. There are objects. There has to be
Objects.
direct chat message.
Direct chat message.
Right. We have to open this file in the repository.
Let me see.
You are searching in Talawa. You have to search in Talawa API.
Oh, sorry. Direct chat message. Okay, this one.
Yep. Now see, the things which we have commented and the things which are shown on the website. It's the paragraph from line number 7 to 14 on the
Mm-hmm.
website, but it should be like 17 to 24, the content which should be on the website.
Yeah, that is the thing I was trying to tell you.
Okay.
For Talawa API, the complete repository. The repository has TS doc comments that you guys added.
Hmm.
That has nothing to do whatever is present here. Okay.
Right.
So once this check is added, once this check is added, after
Hmm.
that we will be setting up the API extractor. Only then your TS doc comments, the pages, gen- uh, new pages will generate from your TS doc comments, and then we will set up, and those pages will appear here. Whatever you are seeing here, I generated it manually few months ago
Okay.
using GraphDoc library. I wished to use SpectaQL, but I managed to do it with GraphDoc. So whatever you are seeing here, this is not the latest documentation. It is just here. We have to first add that check. Okay, and as you can see, the Tasneem has added some descriptions. Like for TS-Doc, there are 56 params and tag warnings. So
Hmm.
once 56 warnings, and I don't know, these errors should be fixed. These warnings or errors should be fixed before that. But for this TS-Doc, this needs to get fixed before we are able to generate any documentation using the
Okay.
things that you guys added.
Yeah.
This
So
mm,
right. Since I'm like right now migrating the TS doc comments into the
mhm,
develop branch of the Lava API.
mhm.
So since we did it without the checks, in
Yeah.
case the checks fail,
In
is there a
case the checks
possibility?
fail, yeah, in case the checks fail, what we have to do, or what you will have to do, is
Hmm.
to create issues so that students will be able to log those errors and try to fix it, and making like if there is a TS-doc comment added, and that is not that the check is not passing, it says like there is some error with this TS-doc
Right.
comment, so somebody has to fix it. Like if you don't get time, we will have to. I'm just thinking because there are, as you can see, there are a lots of errors and warnings.
Yeah.
So She has explained like formatting, deprecated TypeScript extension. So new contributors, like this will give a lot number of new issues. So like new contributors or new people or whoever wants to can fix those warnings one by one. She has set up in a way, she is telling that she has set up in a way that currently it is passing all the checks because she has silented those errors and warnings, and whenever somebody needs to whenever somebody needs to fix it, they can we will have to create issues so that it will be explained there, like how can they log those errors, fix it, and then make the pull request so that our compiling does not get disturbed in between.
All right, all
Yeah,
right.
so our build should not fail because those comments, uh, the generation of documentation, that will take a little more time. So before that, our build should not fail, and people should be able to log those errors. So that, because before fixing or somebody trying to fixing, they should be given some steps how they can log those errors to try to fix it and make the pull request with the correct TS doc norms.
Okay, okay, great. So one last question I had was related to GSoC.
Okay.
So, which projects this year are interrelated or can be interrelated to the documentation stuff as well? Like, which projects can affect the documentation website or documentation repositories?
Documentation websites and repositories.
Right. Like, anyhow, connecting with the documentation.
I see there is only one way in which the documentation can get affected, is that we have many projects, so people will be pushing up a lot of code into our repositories. So that should follow the norms that we give. Like when if somebody is making a pull request in the TypeScript repository, they should put ts comments as well. I think there are no specific projects, but everyone who is trying to make a contribution to the code, they should uh, put it with the documentation as well. So the mentors needs to check if the mentees working under them are following the documentation norms. I think there are no specific projects for documentation.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's all, Anwar.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Eva. Okay. So if anybody has any query, I'll try as I'm recording this video. So after this video, if anybody has any query, they can reach out to me, Anwer Sayeed, on Slack, the Palisadoes Slack channel, and that's it. Okay. Thank you, Eva.
Great. Thank you.